Hi guys, this is Taylor. It's an incredibly overcast day and I'm here with my November wrap-up. November for me was really solid. As you may know, my goal this month was just to read one really big, intimidating book that I've had for a long time, and I actually got to 5. So the really big, intimidating thing that I read was The History of Jazz by Ted Gioia. This is really just the nonfiction history of jazz. It's inception, it's kind of fragmentation into all these different styles of jazz, right up into modern jazz. And this was really good. I understand now why so many people consider it to be the nonfiction narrative of jazz. It's really comprehensive, it's got everything you would want to know about if you're just starting to learn about jazz. It doesn't have a lot of confusing music jargon. The only thing I didn't really care for was the way that this was organized. Now, I'm not someone who thinks that nonfiction should be told in a purely linear or chronological way. I think that to effectively tell a story, sometimes you do have to go out of order in terms of the events that take place. But The History of Jazz really did jump around a lot in order to talk about who influenced who. And it really did make me confused at times. I wasn't sure what era we were in. It didn't really feel grounded at times. But other than that, I really did enjoy it, and I would totally recommend it if you are interested in learning about jazz and you're looking for a place to start. I gave this a solid 4 stars on Goodreads. Although the number one thing that this book taught me was, if you are a promising jazz musician, statistically, you will die a horrible death. The sheer number of prodigious 15-year-old pianists who died mysterious sudden deaths way exceeds the number of jazz musicians who lived happy, long lives. Anyway, I finished that in the middle of the month, so next I actually picked up another Murakami. This is The Strange Library. This is actually a single short story that's published on its own. It's basically about a boy who goes to the library to learn about taxation in the Ottoman Empire and becomes imprisoned and befriends a sheep man. You know, good old Murakami stuff. But this is gorgeously, weirdly published. It has beautiful art all the way through that really corresponds and adds to the story. You can read this in about an hour. I loved this. I was going back and forth between 4 and 5 stars. I eventually settled on 4, but it was close. And I know they have this in an audiobook, but I would strongly recommend the physical book. I loved the art and I thought that the format just added a lot to it. And I actually think this wouldn't be a bad Murakami to start with. Next, I picked up Alan Cummings' Not My Father's Son, which is his memoir about both his childhood and his present-day life. This was really good and I'm glad I picked it up. This is largely about his father and trauma, but it's also about the healing process, emphasis on the process, and the nuance of healing from something traumatic and the setbacks that you do encounter. I think this must have been a very difficult thing to write, but I'm glad that he did, because I think it has the potential to really help a lot of people who have been through something traumatic. But this is also just a great read if you are a fan of Alan Cumming and just want to know more about his life story. His personality really does come through and it helps to cushion some of the darker material. All in all, this was another really solid 4 out of 5 stars. The next thing I read was a graphic novel from the library. This is Here by Richard McGuire. I also loved this. What can I say? It was a good month. This tells the story of one corner of one room in a house, spanning literally billions of years from before the house was built way into the distant future. I adored the art. It's kind of simplistic, but it's effective, and I feel like it really suited the story. The story itself is kind of strange and existential, as you can imagine, but this was really good, and I kind of wish I owned it instead. Another 4 stars. The last thing I read this month I haven't technically finished yet, but I'm very close, and I doubt that it's going to pull any punches on me. This is Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery, which unfortunately I'm not really enjoying too much. On the upside, it is very warming, as I suspected it might be. The descriptions of this small town make me nostalgic for a place I've never been. And something about the writing just gives me a almost Diana Wynne Jones vibe. It's just very homey, which is nice. Unfortunately, I think all of the things that you're supposed to find curious and charming about Anne, I just find really irritating. I'm also pretty bored by it. I kind of have to force myself to pick it up, which is not good. I think this is either going to get 2 or 3 stars from me. depending on how mean I'm feeling when I finish it. And that's everything I read in November. I think 4 out of 5 is not bad at all. You will notice that I did not read any vampires this month, which is good. I feel cleansed. I feel pure again. Also, just a quick announcement, I'm actually going to see my favorite musician of all time this weekend, and so I'll be out of town on the days that I would usually film, so I'm not sure when exactly I'll have another video up. It might be more than a week from now. Sorry. But here's to a good December. Let's finish out strong. I sound like a football coach. I hope you had a great reading month, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!